Hey, greetings programs. It's BC from Alloy 7 Video here with this week's game chat. And today I want to talk with all of you about what I think it's going to take for Japanese role-playing games to see some future success on major consoles. So at the time of this recording, we're talking about the PS4, the Xbox One, and the Wii U. I'm going to incorporate some sales figures, some general global numbers into this discussion to support my claims, but be advised, this is going to be very, very debatable. I'm going to add some speculation in here, but I do want to start off with some numbers. So let's jump right in. So here's some facts. There's been a steady decline in sales of Japanese role-playing games since the release of Final Fantasy VII back in 1997. So think about how long ago. You're talking almost 20 years ago, a Japanese role-playing game came out that no other Japanese role-playing game since on major consoles has outsold. There's been a lot of games peppered in since then that have done extremely well, but never quite reaching that pinnacle of a game that's almost 20 years old. And so with that in mind, let's also talk about the Japanese role-playing game presence on major consoles. So it grew, but not very much between the PlayStation 1, since that's the generation we started with Final Fantasy VII, just for the purpose of this discussion. It grew, the numbers of games released grew a little bit from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2, roughly 210 plus to 225 plus games between the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2, but then fell quite a bit when you compare the numbers from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2 all the way to PlayStation 3, which saw less than 200 Japanese role-playing games be released total. So what you're seeing there is a steady decline in sales across the board, and developers and publishers are figuring out, okay, this isn't really a viable thing as technology gets better for us to keep making these improved, visually improved JRPGs, because they don't really sell as well as something we released almost 20 years ago. So a decline in sales and also a decline in development. So my suggestion, and that's not to say that they haven't been getting developed, and that's why I specified major consoles, because we've seen many RPGs show up on the mobile platform, on cell phones and that platform, but also handheld gaming from the DS to the 3DS to the 2DS to the Vita to the PSP, things of that nature. So my suggestion with Japanese role-playing games is that in order to be successful in the future, we need to go back to the past. And why should we go back to the past? Well, there's a couple things I think that are happening in the market and that have been happening in the market that would lead this philosophy to work. One, look at the resurgence of Japanese role-playing games from the PS1 and PS2 era on platforms such as PSN and Steam. They've been steadily bringing out games from our past on these platforms because of their popularity. Also, look at the indie developers across the world, not just from Japan and really outside of Japan. Look at these indie developers who've been making retro style and are making retro style Japanese role-playing games outside of Japan. So for example, you have Doom and Destiny, you have Transistor, which is not really technically a Japanese role-playing game, but it's got some elements of it. And then you've got games like Hyper Light Drifter, again, not a traditional Japanese role-playing game, but still a role-playing game in the indie space. But Doom and Destiny would probably be the best example of that, a game that's done pretty well, did well on Xbox Live. I enjoyed it very much, even reviewed it on this channel. It made it all the way to Steam and PC releases, things of that nature. And so my point in going back to the past is this: making photorealistic games costs a ton, and JRPGs just don't have the market presence to warrant that AAA visual quality. I mean, look at all the games that come out now that do sell well that aren't Japanese role-playing games. Even those games, to recoup costs and make a profit, have to crush you with DLC releases, season packs, and get you to spend money beyond just the price of admission for the game. But I think if developers were to push more retro visuals with a ton more game experience and customization options and dope storylines, I think Japanese role-playing games can resurge. Because look, all of us that grew up playing those games are hungry for them. I don't want to play them on mobile devices. I have kind of acquiesced to playing them on handhelds because that's where I have to play some of them. But I don't really like playing them on handhelds. I do want to play them on my consoles. And I also refuse to play them on I hate playing video games on my phone. That's just something that's never really going to be a reality for me. So I think the audience is there. And I think the proof, again, goes back to, you've seen Final Fantasy VII release on Steam, on PSN, and these different spaces. I think it can work. And again, I'm talking major consoles, not handhelds. But many of us don't want to be relegated to playing these games on handheld or mobile devices. And that's what I think you need to do. You need to stop trying to make, the Final Fantasy 13 series is a perfect example. We tried to build in these photorealistic but still kind of anime-esque visuals. It costs a ton of money. You kill exploration. You kill the expansiveness of the game because of how much money you have to dedicate to making the game look excellent. And look, I'm not saying you don't make the game beautiful. I'm just saying you don't make it photorealistic. Look at what Tales of Vesperia was able to do on the Xbox 360. And for whatever reason, people consider that game a failure. Numbers-wise, it wasn't a failure. It actually did very well on a console that wasn't known for selling Japanese role-playing games. And that's what I mean. Go back to the roots, polish it, make it beautiful, but make it retro so that you don't have to invest so much money in the visuals. You can invest more money in the leveling system, in the questing system. You can bring back the world map, make it huge, and let me explore for hundreds of hours if that's what I desire to do. And that's what I think could work. Again, just my 2 cents. I'm not even 100% convinced that I'm right. I just think it's one approach that may work. Either way, I'd love to hear what you guys and girls think out there. Are you happy with the current state of RPGs? Are you cool with playing them on handhelds and mobile devices? Or do you also believe that some experimental changes need to take place in order for us to see a proper resurgence? Please let me know in the comments section. And as always, friends, I'm going to go ahead here and sign off, but thank you for watching. Thank you also for subscribing if you have not done so already. Until next time, until all are one, this is BC, the Brain Supreme, here at Alloy 7 Video, signing off. Peace and Godspeed.
Alloy 7.